Hello and welcome back to my channel. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Marcie. I am a yoga teacher and I've been posting videos to YouTube and also to my Instagram, and I've had a few different requests about talking about my yoga journey, so I thought I would just sit down and have a really casual chat with you about my journey through, I guess, back from when I was quite a lot younger up until now, and how that led me to yoga and to teaching. So I have actually written notes down because it's quite a long story, I guess, and I don't want to ramble too much. So I'm gonna start as going back when I was in school. I have not ever, but I was never interested in physical activity. PE, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I remember one time we were playing rounders in PE. The ball went past me and I refused to run for it because I was cold, and that is kind of what my level of fitness and physical activity was back then, which is really funny because now I personal train, teach yoga, teach other group exercise classes, so I've done a complete 180 flip and now I love it. Now, saying that, I was always and have always been very interested in spirituality. I remember I used to give myself like little tasks, and one time I decided that I wanted to learn all about the chakras, so I got a notebook and I would just do hours of research on the chakras. I'd be writing them down. I'd give myself like different homework to do for it, and I was just really fascinated by it, and I always have been. I felt really connected in that sense, so I feel like that side of yoga has always been really deeply rooted within me since I was a really young child. School and going through college, I became very anxious and it started to take over my life, so I couldn't actually get onto public transport without having a panic attack or an anxiety attack. I couldn't get on there on my own. It was just a no-go, and so from traveling to and from college every day it became a little bit of a nightmare, and that's kind of just scraping the surface about how I felt at this time. And basically, yeah, it was just controlling how I was feeling, and I couldn't seem to get through it or overcome it. And I remember so many times I would go to the doctors, and every time that I went they would say to me, you know, I think going to the gym or some physical activity or physical exercise would be really good because it releases the endorphins and it would just be really good for you, it'd be really good for your mind and everything like that. And I always remember being like, it's the last thing I want to do. I'm feeling like this and I hate exercise. I definitely don't want to go and do that. But this one time, I remember it so vividly. I was washing my car and I decided that I wanted to join the gym. So I did. My dad took me down to the gym and I signed up. And that was kind of where it all really began for me. So I was super nervous and anxious to go into the gym. I had no idea what I was doing. I hated being out of breath or anything like that, but it was like something in me was like, you need to do this, and you know that you need to do this to help yourself feel better. Like, you have to help yourself now. And so my dad literally held my hand through the entire thing. I then got introduced by my dad again to body balance, and it was one of those things. It was a fitness class, so it was a big room full of people that I just felt sick the entire day before I went. But my dad was like, I think you'll really like it. Just come and give it a go. So we did. So my mum and my dad came, and I remember we walked into the hall and oh my goodness, it was fully packed. So it was quite a big hall. It's probably one of the biggest like halls or studios that I've seen. It was massive and it was packed full of people, and naturally I just wanted to go to the back of the hall but there was no space. So I was quite far down near the front, and it was the last thing I wanted. I felt so anxious. I felt like everything was just closing in on me and I wanted to run away. But I was there. I'd rolled my mat out. I had my dad on one side, my mum on the other side, and the class started. And I cannot tell you how incredible and how life-changing that class was for me. I fell in love with it, and it was just like nothing I've ever tried before. I mean, I hadn't tried any other exercise classes before, but it was like the first time I just felt like, wow, I have to continue doing this. I need to do this. So I did. Me and my dad continued to go every single week. We started going once a week, then we started going twice a week, and then sometimes we'd go 3 times a week, and we continued that religiously. I did not want to miss a class, and if I missed a class, I was gutted. Like, I could have cried. So fast forward to finishing college, I then went off to uni, and uni was a really challenging time for me. I think it was really good that I went, and I don't regret going, because I think it confirmed even more what it is I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And I also still learned really amazing life skills at uni and had really incredible experiences. So looking back, I don't regret going, but at the time it was really, really difficult. Throughout uni, I studied fashion and textiles, and at the time I really loved the course. It was always something that I thought that I wanted to go into and do, so it was really amazing learning all about it. However, the one thing that kept me going week on week was body balance. So I would have uni from Monday to a Thursday afternoon. On a Thursday afternoon, I would then drive home, and I'd spend Thursday to Sunday at home, and then I'd drive back Sunday night and go back to uni. That was my routine week on week, and it just is what worked for me. It's what felt best for me at the time, and it also meant that I got to do my 2 body balance classes on a Thursday evening and on a Sunday morning. So that was the highlight of my week. It's all I wanted to do. So I had been traveling to and from uni to home, doing body balance classes and all of this jazz, going to the gym, meeting my dad at the gym, and just absolutely loving it. And it was very slowly taking over my life, but in a really positive way. I was feeling confident, I was feeling a lot better, still extremely anxious, but it was helping me. It was like a form of therapy for me, and that was really important. So I remember sitting in a class. Before it started, I was just sat on my mat. My dad was sat next to me on his mat, and I remember saying to him, "Dad, this is what I want to do. I want to teach. I think I could do this. It would be really, really fun." And he was just super supportive and was like, "Then do it. Find out what you need to do and start looking into it." So that's exactly what I did. I then ended up going back to college whilst I was in my second year at university. So I was doing university full-time, and then I did part-time college so I could get my gym instructing level 2 qualification, which is the base of what I needed to be able to take the Les Mills training. So I did that, and again, I found myself gravitating to wanting to do my coursework for my gym instructing course more than my coursework for my university course. And so I went through that, took my exams, met really amazing people on that course, and passed it. So I was absolutely over the moon. So fast forward to summer break. So university has finished for the year, college had finished because I'd passed my exams, and I was working part-time, but kind of crazy hours as you do as in a temp job over the summer break. And this summer break is where I saved and saved and saved. So the end of summer, when my final pay packet came in, I was so over the moon because I knew that I would be able to book my training, and it's exactly what I did. Now looking back, I realise how much this had changed my life, because I knew that I was going to have to go to Bristol on my own travel there on my own, stay in a hotel there on my own, or I could have done the journey to and from, but I just felt like it would be easier and more sensible for me just to have a hotel for that weekend, so I had a base. I knew that obviously I was unable to get onto public transport on my own. It was a really big deal for me, but there was something in me, there was just this drive that was like, you need to go and do it, like you have to, there's just no question about it, no doubt about it, you need to do it. Let's fast forward a few months, get to the training in December. So I remember feeling so nervous about the training. I'd never done anything like it. I had never stood up and taught in front of people before, in front of a room full of people, in a group full of people, anything like that I used to hate. So this was massive for me. I got dropped off at the train station. I remember being in contact with my mum the whole time, absolutely kind of, you know, panicking, but knew that I needed to go and do it. I got on the train, felt pretty at ease and really proud of myself. Didn't have a panic attack, didn't have an anxiety attack. I was just excited. It was just an incredible feeling, like I had really overcome a hurdle here, and I think this is really where things started to move forward with me, or for me, and I'm really grateful for that, and I'm grateful that I pushed myself to do that. I completed my Les Mills training, the initial module training, and then came having to start teaching. So I started team teaching, and it was the scariest thing. I remember my first time I was given the mic and I was like literally shaking. I didn't know what to say. Even though I had been practicing and going over the choreography and everything like that, it was terrifying. And you stand there and there was just a room full of people just staring at you, ready to take their class. And yeah, it was scary, but it was the most exhilarating and liberating experience. And I remember after I'd finished teaching, I was like, wow, I love this and I want to do this forever. Then I had to film my exam for body balance. So I did that, I passed my exam, and I became a fully qualified Les Mills body balance instructor. And my teaching journey began. Now for body balance, it was always the yoga aspect that I really felt that I connected with the most, and then the relaxation at the end. I just absolutely adored it, and I had always been really interested, as I say, in the philosophy side and the spirituality side of yoga from a young age. So I decided that I would go and try some yoga classes, and all it took was one yoga class and a chat with the yoga teacher that had me sold on the fact that I needed to go and do my yoga teacher training. This class, it was just incredible. It didn't feel like just a fitness class. It was so much more than that. And I spoke to her at the end of the class, and she honestly pretty much held my hand throughout my whole process of becoming a yoga teacher. She explained that she had done her training in Rishikesh in India, and that I should definitely look it up, have a look at the yoga schools and go for it. She was so encouraging, and I cannot thank her enough for that. I started looking at different yoga schools. I looked at quite a lot of yoga schools, but there was one yoga school in particular that I kept coming back to, and that is Rishikul Yogashala, which is in Rishikesh, and it is the yoga school that I trained with. I adore it. I adore the people there. I still feel like they are family. I can't sing its praises enough. I remember going home and saying to my mum and dad that I think I want to go to India and do my yoga teacher training. By the way, it's a month's intensive course. And I think they were pretty shocked by that, because I'd gone from a girl that couldn't walk into crowded places, couldn't get on public transport, didn't want to go to the shops on her own, to a girl that was like, I'm just gonna go to India for a month and do my yoga training. Pretty big deal. And that was that. I put my deposit down and I started saving. Now, I'm not gonna say that it was plain sailing for me. It wasn't. I was an anxious mess. I would cry a lot. I would doubt myself. I would wonder if I was doing the right thing by going, or should I not go, should I go, maybe I can't do it, it's going to be too difficult. But I kept at it, and there was still that little fire in me, that little flame, that I just knew it was something that I had to do. I had to go there, I had to do my training, and it needed to be in India. I just felt really called to it. So I had booked to go in February 2019, and February quickly came around. So flights, yoga school, everything was booked, and I headed out to India. And it was a really interesting journey getting to India. Maybe I'll do a video on that, or maybe I'll do it in my stories or on IGTV. But yeah, it was quite the journey. I think my mum was on the edge of her seat the entire time. But it was interesting, and it was just India in a nutshell. My training, I adored it. I met incredible people on my training, and again, I feel like they are family. They will always be family. There will always be people that I hold really high up in my heart and have so much love for them. Teacher training itself was really intense, but I expected it to be intense. There was a lot to learn, but you were fully immersed in it whilst also experiencing some of the greatest things. I remember when we were out there, I experienced an Indian wedding. We also then went up into the mountains to watch the sunrise, literally the morning after the wedding. We were up at like 4 AM or something crazy so we could see the sunrise. And I just had the most incredible time, and I think it changed who I am as a person for the better. It really allowed me to kind of find that trust within myself, and the knowledge that I could do it. I could go and be the person that I've always wanted to be, someone that could just go and do something. Even if I overthought it a million times, I knew that I would still get there and I would still do it. So yeah, I fell in love with India, everything about it, the people, the place, and I can't wait to go back and visit again. And it's just magical. If you've never been to India, or if you've been to India but you've never been to Rishikesh, honestly, I cannot recommend it enough. You will have the most incredible, magical, dreamy time and experience over there. It's just beautiful. Came towards the end of the month, which meant our exams were looming and we were scared, but it was absolutely fine. We had to teach a practical exam, so we would have to sing 2 mantras that we had memorized. That was probably the most challenging part, was memorizing these mantras, because it was all in Sanskrit. Yeah, that took us a while, and I remember we were all pretty stressed out about that one, but I loved it. And by the end of the course, the mantra and the chanting is what I missed the most, whereas at the start I felt really intimidated by it. Sing 2 mantras, we had to give a 45-minute practical or like physical side of yoga. That could either be in Hatha or Ashtanga Vinyasa, which is the 2 paths of yoga that I chose to study and train in. So I took my practical exam, and then I took my theory exam. So that was on absolutely everything that we had learned over the month, from mantras to anatomy to physiology to alignment, philosophy, the philosophy of yoga, and then the practical side, and also pranayama, our breathing practices. So it was a big old exam on all of that, and we did it. We all passed, and it was just the best feeling ever. I'll put up some pictures of when we got given our certificates and our yoga teacher sashes on the last day. It was just so incredible life, and it was pretty emotional because this massive journey that we had been on was drawing to an end, but a whole nother journey was about to begin for all of us, and that's pretty epic. After my yoga teacher training, I came home and I started teaching pretty much straight away, but boy was I nervous. Now, teaching yoga is very different to teaching something like body balance. So with body balance, every quarter we get given choreography, music and notes, and we have to learn that and then teach it. With yoga, all of that came from yourself, so it came from us. I had to come up with my own choreography, or my own yoga flows, my own themes, everything like that. So it was a whole different process of teaching to my Les Mills stuff, which I really love, but it was challenging at the same time because I had never had to kind of think of my own stuff before. So that was probably the biggest challenge that I faced when I came back. But I kept reading, I kept exploring, and I would come up with little flows. I also would have notes with me in my class so that I could flick through if I needed them. Now I literally don't take notes with me. I feel really comfortable and happy on my mat and comfortable with teaching yoga. I absolutely love it, that I don't feel I need the notes, but it's absolutely okay if you do have notes. And I am going to do a video on my tips for newbie yoga teachers or starting out that side of your journey, and things that really helped me, because I remember I was so nervous, and the first few classes that I taught I was like shaking like a leaf. And yeah, whereas now I walk in and I just can't wait to teach and get on my mat and do it. So that is kind of where I am now. I have been teaching yoga for the last year. I adore it so much, and I also have my own self-practice. So teaching yoga and having my own practice are very different for me. Teaching yoga is about my students, but when I have my own self-practice, I am my own student. I am a student. I will forever be a student within yoga, and I really love it. I love the feeling of just rolling out my mat and moving any way my body wants to feel good. If I feel stressed or anxious or sad, I know that if I just roll my mat out even for 5 or 10 minutes, those feelings are going to be lifted, even ever so slightly, but it makes a difference, and I just feel really supported. Now for me, yoga is so much more than just the physical aspect. It is also the philosophy and the mental aspect. It is how you live your life. It is how you think, how you interact with other people, how you interact with yourself. And I'm still on a journey through that. I will forever be on a journey with yoga. I don't think you ever stop learning. I think the best thing is to just always be a student, always explore and embrace the highs, the lows, the good times, the bad times. That is the most precious and most important thing that we can do. And yeah, so that's pretty much where we are. I love it, and I look back and I can see the change that yoga has had on my life and on me, and I can see that little flame where it just started to get lit and then it wouldn't go out, and I don't think it ever will go out. Yoga is part of my life. It has become my life, and I just am so thankful for it. I just love it. I feel so at home. My main focus for yoga is always coming back home to myself, owning my truth, and just being the best version of myself I can be, but also understanding that we're human. I'm human. I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna mess up, and that's okay. So yeah, that is my journey from how I got into yoga and teaching yoga. I feel like I have rambled for a very, very, very long time, so I am sorry. I hope that this makes sense. But yeah, we will see. Thank you so much for joining me. Please, 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 please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know any suggestions you have for videos you would like to see, and I will see you again soon. Bye.